The rain was coming down hard that October evening when Nora walked through our front door, her face carrying that look I'd come to recognize over 4 years together, the one that meant we needed to talk. I was in the kitchen, preparing dinner for two like I'd done countless times before, the smell of garlic and rosemary filling our cozy suburban home. She set her purse down slowly, deliberately, and I knew something was wrong before she even opened her mouth. "Frank, we need to talk," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Those 4 words hit me like a freight train. In my 32 years of life, I'd learned that nothing good ever followed that phrase. I turned off the stove, wiped my hands on the dish towel, and sat down across from her at our kitchen table, the same table where we'd planned our wedding just 3 months ago. She couldn't look me in the eye. Her engagement ring caught the light as she fidgeted with her hands, and I found myself staring at it, remembering the day I'd proposed on the beach in Santa Monica. She'd cried happy tears that day, said yes before I even finished my speech. Now, those same green eyes that had sparkled with joy were clouded with something else entirely. "Brandon reached out to me last week," she began, and my stomach dropped. Brandon, her ex from college, the guy she dated for 3 years before we met, the one she claimed was completely in her past, the one whose Instagram post she still liked at 2 in the morning when she thought I was asleep. "He's different now, Frank. He's changed. He has a steady job. He's been in therapy. He's not drinking anymore." She was talking faster now, as if speed could somehow make this easier. "And I need to know if what we had is really over. I need closure." Closure. What a convenient word for reopening a door that should have stayed shut. I sat there in stunned silence as Nora continued her rehearsed speech. She'd clearly been planning this for days, maybe weeks. Every word was calculated, designed to minimize the damage while maximizing her options. She wasn't asking for a breakup, she explained, just a break. A pause. Time to figure things out. "I love you, Frank. I really do. But I was with Brandon during such formative years of my life. We grew up together, and now that he's reached out, saying he's changed, saying he made a mistake letting me go, I can't marry you with this hanging over my head. I need to know if those feelings are still there, or if I'm truly ready to commit to you forever." The casual cruelty of it was breathtaking. She was asking me to wait on the sidelines while she test drove her ex-boyfriend, keeping me as an insurance policy in case things didn't work out. The engagement ring on her finger suddenly looked like a joke, a placeholder, a symbol of absolutely nothing. "How long?" I heard myself ask, my voice surprisingly steady. "Maybe a month or 2. I'll stay with my sister Sarah while I figure things out. We can still talk, still be friends during this time. And when I come back, if I come back, we'll be stronger for it. If." She actually said if. I looked at this woman I'd planned to spend my life with, really looked at her. Her auburn hair was pulled back in the messy bun she always wore after work. She was wearing the blue sweater I'd bought her last Christmas. Everything about her was familiar, comfortable, home. Except now I realized I'd been living with a stranger who could so casually put our entire life on hold for a man who had already broken her heart once before. "You want me to wait while you date Brandon?" I said. Not a question, but a statement of the absurdity. "It's not like that. It's exactly like that." That night, Nora packed a bag while I sat on our bed, watching her fold clothes with the same precision she brought to everything in her life. She was a project manager at a tech startup, and she approached our relationship's implosion with the same methodical efficiency she used for product launches. She'd even created a mental Gantt chart for her emotional affairs. "I'll call you in a few days," she said, pausing at the bedroom door. "This isn't goodbye, Frank. It's just, I need to do this, for both of us." The front door closed with a soft click, and I was alone in the house we'd bought together 18 months ago. The house where we'd planned to raise kids. The house with the perfect backyard for the golden retriever we were going to adopt next spring. The house that now felt like a mausoleum of broken promises. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I walked through every room, seeing ghosts of the future we'd never have. The spare bedroom we'd joked about turning into a nursery. The garage where I'd planned to teach our future son or daughter how to ride a bike. The kitchen where we'd hosted dinner parties, our friends always commenting on what a perfect couple we made. By morning, I'd made my decision. If Nora wanted to explore her options, then I was going to explore mine. But my exploration wouldn't involve keeping anyone on the back burner. It would involve burning everything down and starting fresh. I called my best friend Mike at 6 a.m. He answered on the 3rd ring, groggy, but immediately alert when he heard my voice. "She left last night," I said simply, "to figure things out with Brandon." The string of expletives that followed would have been comedic under different circumstances. Mike had never liked Nora, had always said there was something calculating about her. I defended her, said he didn't really know her. Turns out he knew her better than I did. "What are you gonna do?" he asked once he'd calmed down. "I'm going to disappear." The next 3 weeks were a whirlwind of activity. While Nora was presumably rekindling things with Brandon, I was systematically dismantling the life we'd built together. I hired a real estate agent, a shark named Patricia, who promised she could sell the house fast and for a good price. The market was hot, and our neighborhood was desirable. Within 5 days, we had 3 offers, all above asking price. I accepted a position with a tech company in San Francisco that I'd turned down 6 months earlier because Nora didn't want to leave Chicago. They were thrilled to have me reconsider, even offering a signing bonus and relocation package. The hiring manager, Jessica, said they'd been hoping I'd change my mind. Every night, I'd come home to our empty house and pack. I was surgical about it. Everything that was mine went into boxes destined for California. Everything that was Nora's went into boxes destined for a storage unit I'd rented in her name, paid up for 6 months. The things we'd bought together, the furniture, the artwork, the kitchen gadgets we'd registered for but received early from eager relatives, those I sold or donated. She texted me twice during those 3 weeks. Brief, checking in messages that were clearly designed to keep me on the hook without giving me any real information. Thinking of you. Hope you're doing okay. I didn't respond. What was there to say? Mike helped me load the moving truck. As we carried box after box of my life out to the driveway, the neighbors watched with poorly concealed curiosity. Mrs. Henderson from next door finally worked up the courage to ask where Nora was. She's exploring her options, I said with a smile that didn't reach my eyes. The house closing was scheduled for the day after I planned to leave. I'd timed everything perfectly. Patricia had handled all the paperwork, and Nora's signature was already on file from when we'd bought the place. The proceeds would be split 50-50 and deposited into our separate accounts. Clean, simple, final. The night before I left Chicago, I sat in our empty house one last time. The walls showed pale rectangles where pictures had hung. The hardwood floors bore the ghost impressions of furniture legs. It looked like what it was, a space abandoned, a life evacuated. I'd written Nora a letter. Not a love letter or a hate letter, but something in between. An explanation, maybe. Or perhaps just a goodbye. I left it on the kitchen counter where she'd find it when she inevitably came looking for me. Nora, it began. By the time you read this, I'll be gone. The house is sold. Your things are in a storage unit on Maple Street. The key is under your sister's doormat. Your half of the house proceeds will be in your account by end of business tomorrow. I've removed myself from our joint accounts and canceled all our shared subscriptions. Consider this my acceptance of the break you wanted, made permanent. I wish you well in your exploration. I've decided to do some exploring of my own, just not the kind that involves keeping someone waiting in the wings. Don't contact me. Don't look for me. We're done. Frank. The drive to San Francisco took 3 days. I could have done it in 2, but I wanted to savor the transition. Every mile I put between myself and Chicago felt like shedding dead skin. I stopped at roadside diners, took photos of sunsets in Nevada, stood at the edge of the Pacific Ocean and felt something I hadn't experienced in months. Hope. My new apartment in the Mission District was small but perfect. 3rd floor, lots of light, a view of the city skyline. It came furnished, which was ideal since I'd left most of everything behind. The first night there, I sat on the floor with Chinese takeout and my laptop, already working on projects for my new job that would start Monday. That's when the calls started. 17 missed calls from Nora in the span of 2 hours. Dozens of texts ranging from confused to angry to pleading. She'd gone to the house, found it empty and for sale, found my letter. The reality of what I'd done had hit her like a tsunami. I blocked her number. Then I blocked her on all social media. Email, too. I even blocked Sarah, her sister, who started calling and texting once Nora couldn't get through. The last message I saw before cutting off all contact was Nora saying Brandon had already cheated on her with his coworker, that it had been a mistake, that she wanted to come home. Home. As if that existed anymore. My new job was everything I'd hoped it would be. I was leading a team developing cutting-edge AI applications, working with brilliant people who challenged and inspired me. Jessica, my manager, became a mentor and eventually a friend. She'd been through her own brutal divorce 5 years earlier and recognized the signs of someone rebuilding from rubble. The best revenge, she told me over drinks one evening after work, is massive success and genuine happiness. Trust me, I know. So that's what I pursued. I threw myself into work, but not in an unhealthy way. I joined a climbing gym, started taking improv classes, learned to cook Thai food. I made friends, real friends, not just couple friends who would have to choose sides. There was Tom from climbing, who introduced me to his whole crew of adventure enthusiasts. There was Maria from improv, whose infectious laugh could brighten the darkest day. There was the elderly Japanese couple who ran the corner market and insisted on teaching me phrases in Japanese every time I bought groceries. 3 months into my new life, I met Amanda. She was the instructor at a pottery class I'd impulsively signed up for. She had paint in her dark hair, clay under her fingernails, and a smile that made me forget, for the first time, that I'd ever been engaged to someone else. We went for coffee after class. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into weekend hikes in Muir Woods. Amanda knew my story. I'd told her on our 3rd date, wanting to be transparent. She'd listened without judgment, then shared her own tale of a boyfriend who'd strung her along for years, always promising to commit but never following through. You did the right thing, she said simply. You chose yourself. 6 months had passed since I'd left Chicago when the email came through my work account, the one place I hadn't thought to block her. Nora had found me, probably through LinkedIn or a simple Google search. Her message was long, rambling, filled with apologies and explanations I didn't ask for. Brandon had been a disaster, she wrote. He hadn't changed at all. The therapy had been a lie, the sobriety temporary. He'd cheated within 2 weeks, gaslit her when she confronted him, then broke up with her via text when she demanded better. Her job had suffered during the drama. She'd been put on a performance improvement plan and eventually let go. She'd lost the friend group, who were tired of her drama. Even Sarah was keeping distance. Meanwhile, she'd been keeping tabs on me through mutual acquaintances. She knew about my new job, my new life. She'd seen the photos Mike had posted of his visit to San Francisco, pictures of me looking happier than I'd been in years. She wanted another chance. She loved me. She'd made a terrible mistake. She was seeing a therapist now, working on herself. She could move to San Francisco. We could start fresh. I read the email twice, then deleted it without responding. A month later, she showed up at my office building. I was walking out, heading to lunch with my team, when I saw her standing by the entrance. She looked different, thinner, older somehow, though only 9 months had passed. Her designer clothes had been replaced with something simpler. The confident swagger was gone, replaced by something desperate and hollow. Frank, please. Just give me 5 minutes. My colleague sensed the tension and made excuses to go ahead without me. I stood there on the sidewalk, looking at this woman who had once been my whole world and feeling nothing. Not anger, not love, not even pity. Just nothing. There's nothing to say, Nora. I love you. I never stopped. Brandon was a mistake. Brandon wasn't the mistake. Thinking you could keep me as a backup plan was the mistake. She tried to argue, to explain, to rewrite history. She claimed she'd always known I was the one, that Brandon had manipulated her, that she'd been confused and vulnerable. The mental gymnastics were impressive, but I'd seen this performance before. This was Nora in crisis mode, trying to project manage her way out of the consequences of her own choices. I've changed, she insisted. I've been in therapy. I understand what I did wrong. I know how much I hurt you, but we had something special, Frank. 4 years of something special. Doesn't that deserve another chance? We did have something special, I agreed. And you threw it away the moment you decided to shop around for something better while keeping me on layaway. That's exactly what it was. You wanted to test drive the X while keeping your current model in the garage, just in case. Well, surprise, I'm not a car. I'm a person. And I deserved better than being someone's plan B. She started crying then, right there on the busy San Francisco sidewalk. People walked around us, pretending not to notice the drama unfolding. But these weren't the tears that had once moved me. These were the tears of someone who'd gambled and lost, who'd thrown away a winning hand to chase a bluff. Is there someone else? She asked, wiping her face with her sleeve. That's not the point. So there is. I thought about Amanda, about the easy way we laughed together, about how she never made me feel like I was competing with ghosts from her past. But this wasn't about Amanda. This was about me choosing not to be with someone who had so fundamentally devalued what we had. Goodbye, Nora. I walked away, leaving her standing there on the sidewalk. She called after me once, twice, then fell silent. I didn't look back. The aftermath of Nora's visit was surprisingly peaceful. I'd expected to feel something guilt, maybe, or satisfaction, or even a twinge of regret. Instead, I just felt free. Finally, completely free. I told Amanda about the encounter that evening. We were cooking dinner together in her apartment, a comfortable routine we'd developed over the months. She listened while chopping vegetables, occasionally murmuring understanding. How do you feel about it? She asked when I'd finished. Like I passed a test I didn't know I was taking. She smiled, that warm smile that had first caught my attention in the pottery studio. You know what I love about you, Frank? You know your worth. That's rarer than you'd think. My career continued to soar. The AI project I was leading got featured in TechCrunch. We secured Series B funding. I was promoted to Director of Innovation, with equity and a salary that would have seemed impossible just a year ago. Jessica joked that heartbreak had been my rocket fuel. Mike visited again for my birthday. We went wine tasting in Napa, and he caught me up on all the Chicago gossip. Apparently, Nora's spectacular fall from grace had become something of a cautionary tale in our old social circle. She'd tried to date a few other guys, but her reputation as someone who dumped her fiancé for an ex, only to get dumped herself, preceded her. She'd moved back in with her parents in the suburbs, was working a junior position at a small company, starting over in every sense. Do you ever think about what would have happened if you'd waited for her? Mike asked after his third glass of Cabernet. Every path not taken looks different in the rearview mirror, I said. But I know this much: if I'd waited, if I'd taken her back, I'd have spent the rest of my life wondering when she'd need another break. That's no way to live. A year after leaving Chicago, I got another email from Nora. This one was shorter, more resigned. She was writing to let me know she was getting married. To someone from her new job. Someone safe, she wrote. Someone who would never leave her. The subtext was clear: she'd settled for security over passion, chosen someone she could control over someone she truly wanted. I felt sorry for the guy, whoever he was. But mostly, I felt nothing at all. 5 years have passed now since that rainy October night when Nora walked out of our house to explore her options. 5 years since I chose myself over waiting in limbo. They've been the best 5 years of my life. Amanda and I got married 2 years ago in a small ceremony in Big Sur, surrounded by the friends who'd become my chosen family in California. Mike was my best man, ugly crying through his entire speech about how proud he was that I'd had the courage to start over. Jessica officiated, having gotten ordained online just for the occasion. Even the elderly Japanese couple from the corner market came, bringing homemade mochi and teaching everyone how to say congratulations in Japanese. We bought a house in Oakland, a fixer-upper with good bones and endless potential. Nothing like the suburban perfection Nora and I had shared, but something better: a home we're building together, literally and figuratively. Amanda has her pottery studio in the garage. I have my home office with a view of the bay. We adopted 2 rescue dogs who have no idea they're supposed to be golden retrievers. My company went public last year. The equity I'd earned as Director of Innovation turned into enough money to ensure we'd never have to worry about financial security again. I started a scholarship fund for kids from my old neighborhood in Chicago who want to study computer science. It felt like the right way to give back, to turn my pain into someone else's possibility. I ran into a mutual friend from Chicago at a conference last month. After catching up, she mentioned that Nora was divorced already. The safe guy hadn't been enough, apparently. She was back on dating apps, still searching for whatever it was she thought she'd find with Brandon, still unable to recognize what she'd had with me until it was gone forever. Do you ever wonder if you were too harsh? The friend asked carefully, not giving her a second chance. I thought about it for a moment, really considered the question. No, I said finally. I wasn't harsh. I was honest. She made a choice, and so did I. The difference is, I can live with mine. That's the thing about backup plans. They assume the backup will always be there, waiting, ready to spring into action when plan A fails. But people aren't backup plans. We're not safety nets or insurance policies. We're human beings who deserve to be someone's first choice, not their fallback option. Nora taught me that, though I doubt it was the lesson she intended to teach. She taught me that when someone shows you how little they value you, you should believe them the first time. She taught me that starting over isn't failure, it's courage. She taught me that the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's building a life so beautiful, so full, so authentically yours that the past becomes nothing more than a prologue to something better. Sometimes, late at night, when Amanda is asleep beside me and the dogs are snoring at our feet, I think about that other life, the one where I waited, where I took Nora back, where we got married and pretended that crack in our foundation wasn't there. In that life, I'm constantly wondering when the next Brandon will appear, when the next break will be needed, when I'll stop being enough again. In this life, I never wonder. I know I'm enough. I'm more than enough. I'm someone's first choice, every single day. And that makes all the difference.